right, back again, the man, the myth, the legend. It's Mr. Mike Golic. How was your Thanksgiving, dude?
Wonderful. Well, I actually didn't eat as much as I normally do.
Wow.
And I saved for the pumpkin pie. I went really big on pumpkin pie and Cool Whip.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, you and me both. Well, days after stuffing your pie hole there with pie, you called the Packers' loss to the Eagles there. And the Eagles are still winning, just not as convincing as they were before. Mike, why do you think that is? Because looking past these last three games, you got a loss and you got a couple really tight wins.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a game where the offense scored a lot against Green Bay and the defense gave up a lot of points. You look at their 1 point against a win against the Colts. The defense didn't give up a lot of points in that game, played well, but the offense didn't score a lot of points. So they've taken turns a little bit as far as playing down a little bit. The thing that concerns me the most with them, in all honesty, is their rush defense.
Okay.
And that's really the big reasons they went out and got Linville Joseph and Ndamukong Suh to stop the run. Because as we get into colder temperatures, as we get into the playoffs when it's one and done, if you can run the ball, you have a big advantage. If you can run the ball and have good defense, you could really, really control games. So the Eagles needed to be in a position where they can stop the run better. Again, so they got a couple of interior guys. So that's got to come into play at some point, and they can't be giving up. I think they're lower middle of the pack or just lower middle of the pack, giving up over 120 yards a game.
I mean, Lord knows the Eagles are successful enough at running the ball 363 yards at that game that you were calling. That's
them
wild.
rushing, that was like watching. That could talk about difference while their defense gives up yards on the ground. The offense, that was like a college rushing attack. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was. So that game also, Mike, you got to see this banged up Aaron Rodgers, who said this week that he's going to keep an open mind about being shut down if the Packers are eliminated from the playoffs. So what's your stance here? Should the Packers just rest him now, shut him down for the year, but also risk pissing off a guy here, Mike, who they still owe $170 million to?
And that's one of the biggest differences here is the money involved. What's guaranteed, what can become dead money if you get rid of a guy or you tick him off and you want to count on him for next year. Aaron Rodgers, you just what you said there, he's going to keep an open mind and an open heart or whatever in this thing. But at the end of the day, it's going to be his decision. If he's medically cleared and he still wants to play, he's going to play because they're not going to tick him up. But there is that other side of seeing what a Jordan Love can do here. But let's also say, if Aaron Rodgers is coming back next year and he's coming back to the Green Bay Packers, you don't want to tick him off. You know what? He's going to keep playing. And maybe if they're mathematically eliminated, he would then say, okay, I'll sit. You can let Jordan Love play. Because I really don't think Jordan Love, while he could play well, maybe he'll play well, I still don't think in those last few games, if Jordan Love were to play, that the Packers are going to say, you know what? We're going to live with all that dead money, and we're going to live with Jordan Love over Aaron Rodgers because we like the way he played in the last few games. That's not going to happen. If Aaron Rodgers is going to play for the Packers next year, he's going to make the decision this year on when he's going to shut it down, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the Packers need to make an informed decision here on whether or not they're going to exercise Love's fifth-year option. Just feels like a difficult no-win situation for him. And really, you look at the standings here, so what, Green Bay has just one more win than the Rams and the Bears. These are two more teams with quarterbacks, Mike, that just aren't healthy right now. At what point should they consider shutting down Stafford and also Fields? Because these are two major investments for these football teams.
So the big thing that would concern, Stafford's a veteran. So and that was a concussion we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So you certainly want to be careful there. But he's a veteran. If you shut him down, you don't worry about him coming back next year. He's been around. So with Justin Fields, it's twofold. One, you want to keep giving him the reps of playing, because the one way to get better is to be out on the field and see everything at fast pace and let the game slow down for you. We see he's been incredible getting out of the pocket, running, throwing out of the pocket. He's got to become a better pocket passer, and that'll happen with reps. But what I don't want to happen, and what I'm sure they don't want to happen, is to keep playing, and then all of a sudden you need an operation in the offseason because it's a shoulder. The concussion for Matthew Stafford, if you're going to sit him down, that's going to heal, without an operation. But if you have to have surgery Now you're rehabbing in the offseason. You don't want your quarterback who's taking those steps to have to rehab and step back a little bit while he's rehabbing before, he starts into his next year. He's still a young player. So that's what they're battling there. You want him to get reps, but a big thing to me is you do not want him getting that off-season surgery, which a decent amount of players do. But for a young player like that who needs to keep taking those steps, you'd like to have him healthy going into the offseason. As you know, he's our guy, and we have got to build a better team around him.
Well, fast forwarding to Sunday here, how fun is this Dolphins 49ers game going to be? Mike McDaniel's bringing his high-powered Miami offense on the road to face his former team and Mike Shanahan there. Miami on a 5-game win streak. San Francisco is at 4 in a row. You like the home team here as a 4-point favorite?
Well, yes. I like the way San Francisco has been building. I mean, they started what we're seeing. They didn't start it, but I mean, they're getting the most production out of a trade at the trade deadline. A trade deadline in the NFL used to just be a date that passed and nothing happened. Now, these younger GMs are seeing the value in a guy like Christian McCaffrey, instant success. TJ Hawkinson, the tight end going from Detroit to Minnesota, instant success, that it can happen. I can't think of another team in the NFC, maybe in all of football, that has the depth on offense for Jimmy Garoppolo to have as far as weapons are concerned, pre-snap reads, where he wants to go with the ball, matchups he's getting pre-snap, what he sees right after the snap. I mean, he's got just a plethora of talent to throw to. And, their defense is pretty good as well, especially rushing the passer, which you're going to want to do. I mean, you don't want to get beat deep by Tyreek Hill, which so many people do. What stops that? Quick pressure. Make Tua get rid of the ball. And Tua's a better mid-level thrower and short thrower than he is a deep thrower. Tyreek Hill certainly helps him out on the deep throws. But the quicker you can get the pressure to him, make him get the ball out of his hands. And then the key there is you got to tackle Waddle and Hill right after they catch the ball. If it's a shorter route, you can't let them get the yards after the catch. Quick pressure, play up on these, or if you play back, let them catch the ball in front of you and make the tackle right away. But I love the way San Francisco is playing right now. Don't get me wrong, Miami is an excellent team as well, but I'm going to go with San Fran here at home.
Pretty sure I called Kyle Shanahan Mike Shanahan, which Kyle obviously would love to win 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah, how about it?
Like his dad. Listen, that's a compliment. Okay, Kyle.
Yes.
Game of the week may just be this AFC Championship rematch here between the Bengals and the Chiefs. Who do you like here on Sunday, Mike?
Well, I still like the Chiefs. I mean, they're really hitting on all cylinders right now. Mahomes is your leading MVP candidate. Now, he's spreading the ball around more without having your best receiver in Tyreek Hill not there. Wide receiver, I mean, I obviously understand Travis Kelce and what he brings at the tight end position. But they filled it with other players. He spread the ball around. He's still, I think, your MVP leader at this point. So I think they're hitting still on all cylinders. And for Cincinnati, it's about, when you get Jamar Chase back, how close are you? When he comes back, how is he going to be? Because the key is going to be, by the end of the season, do you have all your main parts healed up and ready to go? And that's what you need with Jamar Chase. I know he's got more weeks, obviously. He's getting there. He's getting close and everything. But, man, you don't want any nicks by your star players toward the end of the season. You want him ready to go by playoff time. I just think Kansas City right now is hitting on all those cylinders, and I think they win this one.
Yeah, Bengals are trying to get in the mix here, too, for home field advantage in the AFC. They've won 3 straight games. And remember, Jamar Chase, if he does suit up, he torched the Chiefs, I think, for like 266 receiving yards in that game last season. Do you expect these two to meet once again come postseason AFC title game?
Well, I mean, certainly I expect the Chiefs to be there. Wow, I mean, that's
it's tough.
It's because Miami is playing well.
Yes.
Buffalo worries me. Their run defense and the Josh Allen red zone interceptions. I mean, you start throwing those in the playoffs when you lose and go home, that's going to be tough. Miami is looking good. Cincinnati, I'll say, getting a healthy Jamar Chase, I think like last year, they can peak at the right time and possibly be that team to play Kansas City.
Yeah, because you look at some of the other teams here in the mix and you question, like, are the Titans, are the Ravens really for real? And the Titans get the Eagles this week. The Jets get the Vikings. We're talking a couple other non-conference matchups here between teams currently in the postseason picture. So of those 4, I guess, which group still needs to convince you that they're for real? My guess is you're going to go either Titans or Jets.
No, because the Titans have been there.
Okay.
The Titans have shown they're for real, but they can only get to a certain spot, right?
Yes.
And that's where the lack of their passing game hurts them. We know they can run the game ball with Derrick Henry, but the lack of passing game is, I think, what holds them back. But they've already shown they can get pretty deep into the playoffs. So I don't question them there. I don't question the Eagles. To me, it's Minnesota and the Jets.
Okay.
Minnesota, you saw them get ruined by the Cowboys and thought, uh-oh, here we go. Now they're going to live their life of not being good enough to be great, not being bad enough to suck. They'll be right in the middle, but then they have a big game on primetime. Kirk Cousins has a good primetime game, which he normally doesn't have. But I don't know if people still buy into Minnesota. And certainly I don't know if they buy into the Jets, even though the Jets defense is incredibly good right now. Let's see where their passing game goes. Mike White was excellent last week. Keep playing like that, and that's going to be a huge feather in his cap. Zach Wilson will be on the sideline, but they're just concerned about wins right now. And Mike White had himself a game, but that defense is playing for real. But I think it's Minnesota and the Jets that are questioned more than Philadelphia and Tennessee.
Yeah, and then, the Vikings can actually clinch the NFC North this weekend with a win over the Jets, plus the Detroit loss to the Jaguars, which is kind of crazy because only 4 teams in the Super Bowl era have clinched a playoff berth, not a division title, with 5 weeks remaining in the season. So you got the 90 Giants, who up 91 Washington, a couple teams I think you lost to when you were with the Eagles.
That up.
That. Then there's the 98 Broncos and the Vikings there in 98 as well. I want to stay in the NFC East here, Mike, because a game you'll be on the call for. This is going to be Sunday night. The Cowboys hosting the Colts here. Dallas has the 5th best odds to win the Super Bowl currently on the DK Sportsbook at plus 900. How do you feel about an NFC East Conference Championship Sunday here come January? Have you seen enough right now to declare it's going to happen?
That it's going to be one team from the NFC East?
Yeah, there's going to be 2 teams in the NFC East for the NFC title game in January. So we're talking Eagles-Cowboys most likely here. I think, like a rematch of that 80 game?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to count out San Francisco.
Okay.
I think by the end of it all, San Francisco might end up being the best team in the NFC. They won't get one of the byes, though. I think they're too far behind in that. But with Philly and Dallas, the way Dallas, it's about how are you playing coming to the end of the season. And they're playing phenomenal right now. This is going to be a tough one for the Colts, who have given up 43 sacks. And you're going against a team with the most sacks. Oh, and the defensive player of the year, Micah Parsons. So it is a tough call for them. But they check all the boxes. Excellent defense. Great 2-headed running game with Zeke and Tony Pollard, we've talked about from the beginning of the year. Give him more touches. He's a home run possibility every time he touches the ball, and what Dak is able to do in and out of the pocket. So they as I said, check every box to be able to get there. I think it's definitely a fight between them and Philly for the top spot in the division. And then they'll both be in the playoffs, but I don't know if it'll be those two meeting. I think San Francisco will crash that party.
Yeah, man. San Francisco is really, as we've already mentioned, it's like putting things together at the absolute perfect time. It just reloaded a few weeks back. Before you take off, final game of Week 13 here, going down to Tampa Bay. Bucs are around a field goal favorite here against the Saints. The Saints have had some, recent luck, some recent success, if you want to call it that, against Tom Brady and his crew. But the Saints were just shut out for the second time this season. I think second time in like 5 weeks or something. The Bucs are coming off their own disappointing loss in Cleveland here, but still hold down the fort in a really sad NFC South. Who do you believe has an edge here on Monday night?
You're very kind to say sad, because there could be a lot of other words used for this division, which is horrific. It shows you how good, my picks are. I picked the Colts to win their division, and I picked the Saints to make the playoffs. It happens, Mike.
This has been a wild NFL season. It's been wild for bettors and just people in general trying to pick games.
Yeah, and I was saying last week, I thought Tampa Bay was starting to take those little steps in a positive way, and then they lose in overtime to Cleveland in Cleveland. But I think just the Saints are so bad right now, though. One of the better sides occasionally for them, they're inconsistent obviously, has been their defense, and they have had success against Tom Brady. And let's be honest, this Tom Brady offense right now is anything but a juggernaut. I mean, they are not a great offense. So, boy, would it be something if the Saints up and stole one here from Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay should win this game, But I mean, when you think about it, they're only a game and a half better than the Saints right now. That division is horrible. Every team is under 500. They stink. But if Tampa Bay is going to do anything, they need to win a game like this for sure. I mean, they're gonna probably win the division and represent that division in the playoffs just because somebody has to. But I just don't think they're playing well enough to do anything more this year.
The Saints have been a thorn in Brady's side the last 3 years. 6 straight victories. 6 straight victories. It's got to be regular season victories.
Yeah,
But this
yes, it is.
But it's just a gotta have it game for the Bucs, and who knows? This could possibly be Tom Brady's final Monday Night Football game.